I wanted to start with a bit of a story. So I have a 16-year-old son named Matt, and it's been a little stressful in the Hodgins household lately because Matt's in grade 11. And it's stressful because in grade 11, we're asking 16-year-olds to make decisions about what courses they're going to take in grade 12. And what that means is they already have to start thinking about what programs they're going to take in university. And what that means is they already are being asked to think about what do you want to do for a living. So our school system, before our kids can drive, before they can drink legally, before they can vote, are being asked to make these decisions, and the amount of pressure is crazy. And I'm turning into one of those crazed mothers trying to figure out what programs he needs to get into the right university to get the right job. And I remember as a 17-year-old thinking the exact same thing. I grew up in Ontario. We had grade 13. We had a little more time in high school, which was nice, but I remember thinking those very same things. And at the time, I was thinking, I've got to pick this program and I've got to get into this university because this is going to define me for the rest of my life. This is going to be my career. Think about that pressure. And as I sit with Matt and we work through this, I have to remind myself that actually these decisions aren't that important. What you choose to do today is a decision at a point in time, but it doesn't define you for the rest of your life. And that's where I really want to start my talk today is just because you're in a role today or you're on a particular path in your career, that doesn't mean you need to stay on that path. And that doesn't mean you can't take a left turn. It doesn't mean you can't take a right turn. You can. You shouldn't be limited by where you are or the decisions that you've made. You have to realize that every path you're on gives you an experience. And to really grow and change your career, you have to be open to opportunity and you have to be vulnerable. And I want to talk a little bit about what that's meant to me. So just another quick little story, and I'm sorry if I go over 5 minutes, just yank me. Everyone who knows me knows I like to tell stories, but I was reading Chris Hadfield's book the other day. He's the Canadian astronaut who just wrote this wonderful book, An Astronaut's Guide to Life on Earth. And as I was reading the first chapter, I kind of was like amazed. This guy knew when he saw the moon landing in the 1960s that he was going to be an astronaut, and everything he did in his life, every course, every program, everything led to achieve that life goal. And I thought, wow, aren't you lucky? That's fantastic. But I think in reality that's kind of rare, because I don't think, as I was talking about my son Matt and myself, that you know that at a particular point in time, and if you do, aren't you lucky? But for me, I graduated from high school in 1984, probably before some of you were born. Oh my God, I used to be the new kid on the block. And I wanted to be a journalist. I was going to be a foreign correspondent, and I was desperate to go to Carleton University in Ottawa. Desperate. I had grown up in an immigrant family with a father who was an absolute news freak before, there were 24-hour news channels, and it had this incredible imprint on me. So I went off to journalism school and I thought, hey, I want to do this because I love to tell stories and I want to help people. But that's not what journalism school was about, and it certainly wasn't about creative writing. So almost immediately, the choice I had made as a 17-year-old had led me on a path I wasn't sure I was going to follow. But that was okay because I decided to make a career switch, moved into communications, took that opportunity, and at the time, never would have realized I'd be where I am today, which is overseeing an organization development and change team of about 50 people. I didn't see it. I didn't see the beacon. What I did was take that opportunity, learn from it, and then look forward to other opportunities. And I want to talk a little bit about opportunity because sometimes we think we have to see it. But sometimes opportunity comes disguised, and that's what happened to me at ICBC, and I want to talk about that for a couple secs. I was hired in 2006 as the manager of employee communications, and I was so excited to do that role. I think a lot of companies spend their time worrying about their external stakeholders and about affecting their reputation externally, and they forget that they need to work from the inside out. So I was absolutely passionate about this job. I had a fantastic team. We were doing great work. At least the results that the data, the surveys we were doing showed us we were doing great work. And then in 2008, my boss came to me and said, Eduarda, you're going to run change management. We're going to ask you to run the change management program for the company's $400 million transformation program. I was like, holy shit. I didn't say that to him. I did talk to him like that because we had a great relationship, but I thought, I don't want to do that. I love what I'm doing. I love my team. I know this. This is my sweet spot. I know what I'm doing. I don't know that. I can't spell that. I don't know it. So I didn't see this opportunity, and I didn't want it, and I wasn't like Chris Hadfield that I could see that moonwalk. I didn't. And so the point I want to make to you is sometimes opportunity doesn't come in a way that you're looking for it, but it arrives, and you have to be open to it. And that was certainly my case. I had to see that opportunity, and what a fantastic opportunity I've had. I've been supporting or running the change program for transformation for about 4 years now, and I've received $1 million education doing it, but I didn't see it, and I didn't want it at the time. And I have to be honest and tell you the reason that I didn't want it is because I was scared. I really was. I was scared because I had been the expert in employee communications, and I was being asked to do something that wasn't something I really knew a lot about. And I was anxious about that, and I was anxious initially about admitting it. So what the company did was pair me up with a consultant from Toronto, and that made me even more nervous. That was supposed to help, but it made me more nervous because I thought what was going to happen is that she was going to call me out, and she was going to expose me to the company, and she was going to say she doesn't know what she's doing. And it was worse when she got there. My God, she was gorgeous, and she was 15 years younger than me, and she really knew change management, and she scared the dickens out of me. We'd cross the street, she'd stop traffic, they'd hit me. It was really hard. You know, it's hard when you've been that young kid to no longer be the young kid. But I had two choices. I could pretend and be really cool and act like I had that deep expertise, or I could be vulnerable and I could admit that maybe this isn't my expertise and I need some help. And I remember going to her, and she was quite lovely, and I said to her, Alana, I'm an expert in communications, but I don't really know this change management. I'm still learning. And to her credit, she turned to me and she said, you know what, Eduarda, we're all still learning. I'm here to help you, and we're going to work through this together. And that just totally changed my attitude. I saw the opportunity, I opened myself up for learning and growth, and I didn't feel like I needed to be that expert. And as a result of that, I have been able to learn and grow and experience in a way that 5 years ago, I never ever thought was imaginable. So I just want to wrap up by saying a few things. First of all, just because you're doing something today doesn't mean you need to be doing that in the future. Take left turns, take right turns. And just because you don't see that opportunity doesn't mean there isn't one for you. Sometimes they come disguised, and you have to find them. And thirdly, as my song from Frozen says, don't get frozen where you are. Don't limit yourself. Really test your abilities and test your knowledge and your capabilities, because you truly can let it go, and let it go anywhere you want to go. Thanks.